Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and thanks a lot for making some time to check the video out. That's always appreciated. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about rod length. I'm going to go over the different lengths of rods that are available to fish with and sort of give you guys a foundation on which lures work best with certain rod lengths and why you need to use a certain rod length with certain lures. And I think it's going to add up to allowing you guys to be a lot more efficient on the water. Before we get started, guys, just want to invite everybody out there, if you haven't, to please consider being a channel member here at the Fishing Teacher. And channel members get access to my personal email address. And if you're interested, just go to my homepage on my YouTube homepage for the Fishing Teacher and click the join button that's at the bottom of the homepage, or you can go on the about section and click on memberships there and give you all the information for that. So much appreciated. Okay guys, rod length, let's get into this a little bit. One of the things about rod lengths is you have to, when you're talking about selecting the rod length, there's two different factors. Number one is the efficiency that rod length is going to have for you to work a lure and manipulate a lure. And the second is comfort, because there is an element of comfort based upon how tall you are. It's not that big of a factor, but your body frame and your body makeup has a little bit to do with it. For example, if you're a little bit smaller, as far as you don't weigh as much, or if you're not as tall, maybe you'll do better with just a little bit shorter rod for some situations. And if you're super tall and bigger than a lot of people, obviously the longer rods could come into play a little bit, but not so much. That's one factor. In fact, I remember there was one angler that used to fish the circuit years ago. He was only like 5'3", and he used a 7.5 foot flipping stick all the time, and it's one of the best flippers I'd ever been in the boat with. So, but can be an aspect. The main thing is allowing you to be efficient with your lures and to be able to get the best action out of them. Now, I like to simplify a little bit. I mean, one of the things that I found out about rods, and I've used every rod length up from 5 feet long up to 9 feet. I'd actually had some custom 10 foot flipping sticks built years ago. So I've used a lot of different rod lengths. But one of the things that you're going to find out about it is you've got to allow the rod length, and not necessarily the rod action that much, be dictated by the lure that you're fishing. But that being said, there's so many different rod lengths out there. You've got everything from 5.5 foot up to 8 foot right now, and you've got like inches that separate all of them like that. So I'm going to try to simplify it a little bit and explain to you why. In my opinion, there's really only about probably 4 different rod lengths you need to use. For your spinning rod, guys, try to stay with that 6 foot 10 inch, 6 foot 11 inch for the most part. Now, they do make 7 foot spinning rods, and they can be, a little bit better if you're fishing like a shaky head and you need the extra power. But for the most part, I found a 6 foot 10 inch, 6 foot 11 inch spinning rod allows you to get the most out of it. It allows you to get the most casting distance. It's a good length for manipulating different lures as far as putting action on it. You still have the length of the rod to get a good hook set. So that's my favorite length on there. Now for a bait caster, there's basically only 3 different lengths that I use. I'll use a rod that's like 6 foot 10, 6 foot 11 inches sometimes for like some baits that I have to put a lot of wrist action on. Say for example, if I'm fishing a walking topwater where my wrist has to go like this all the time, if you use a 7 foot rod, that's going to wear you out. But if you go to like a 6 foot 10 inch, 6.5, 6 foot 10 inch rod and jerk it like that, it's going to allow you to manipulate that a little bit better. Now, for the little bit more power application, say for example, like if you're casting a Texas rig worm, or if you're fishing a spinnerbait or a jig, or something along that lines, I really like a 7 foot 2 inch rod. Not necessarily 7 foot. 7 foot's, there's not much difference between a 6'11" and a 7, but like a 7 foot 2 to possibly 7 foot 5. Now what this does, it gives you the combination of the length that allows you to make a longer cast and take up more line on the hook set. Those are lures that you don't need a lot of wrist action on. It's maybe just a little occasional twitch like a spinnerbait or something. But a 7 foot 2 to 7 foot 5 is a very versatile rod for a wide array of lures: crankbaits, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, casting jigs and casting worms, that type of stuff, Alabama rigs, anything you want to throw. It just works really good for that. And finally, you got to have a flipping stick, guys. And flipping stick links most of the time are 7 feet 6 inches to 8 feet long. And again, let your height dictate a lot, but you need a rod of at least 7'6". I prefer like a 7.5 to 7 foot 10 inch flipping stick. And I use the Megabass Alkalies flipping stick. And back to the bait caster, I use the Megabass Perfect Pitch. And then I'll explain the four. The four that I use, guys, are the all Megabass rods: Megabass Alkalies, which is a flipping stick; it's Megabass Perfect Pitch, which is a 7'2", the Jerkbait Special, which is the bait cast 6'10", and then the Whip Snake on the spinning, which is 6 feet 11. And I'll put the Baitworks link in the description if you guys would like to look at them. But that flipping stick needs to be at least 7'6", 7.5 feet long, simply for the maximum power. But instead of like going out there and buying 20 different rod lengths, I think if you stay with those 4, you'll be pretty happy, because it covers about any lure category that you're after. So anyway, I hope it helps, guys. We'll talk later.